So, you'd like to volunteer as a sidewalker with the Victoria Therapeutic Riding Association. Let's take a look at some tips for sidewalkers that will help to maximize your experience and learning for your rider. There are many roles for the sidewalker. You are an important link between the instructor and your rider. You are there to communicate expectations from the instructor to your rider, to reinforce a variety of skills, implement new strategies, and relay progress to the instructor as well as family or assistants who have accompanied your rider. You are there to keep your rider safe. As part of the instructional team, you need to learn what kind of reinforcement is motivating for your rider. When you first arrive, put on your name tag and check the board to see if your sidewalker companion is coming. You can also find the helmet and boot size for your rider, along with the name of the horse, on the board. If the expectation is realistic, encourage your rider to find his or her own helmet and boots, as the sizes are all labeled. If your rider is new to you, read helpful information and tips about your rider in the Volunteer Handbook. This is kept on the table or in the office and can help you determine how best to communicate with your rider, as well as any other physical or behavioral accommodations. If you experience any challenging behaviors with your rider, you can privately chat with your instructor or office staff as to how best to work through these situations. You may have some helpful suggestions to share with them as well. Family and support or school staff accompanying the rider may also have some suggestions as to what has worked well in the past. Remember, you have a team to support you. Many of our riders may communicate in alternative ways. You can encourage your nonverbal riders to communicate by posing choices for them using objects, asking them to indicate walk on or whoa, and encouraging greetings and farewells to yourself, the horse team, instructor, and also the horse. Some riders may be using simple signs, which you can become familiar with over time with a little effort. If your rider is nonverbal, but capable of making some sounds, you can check with staff or family to learn which word approximations would be possible for you to model and encourage with your rider. Here is an example. Ma. Once you learn a few of your rider's key signs needed for the riding experience, it is important to model these for the rider as you are verbally cueing the rider throughout the lesson. Here we have a couple of examples where the sidewalker is reminding the rider that we have to wait before we can move on. In the other situation, the sidewalker is modeling the sign for stop, to encourage the rider to use this gesture to indicate whoa. Applying the rider's sign language and communication within a fun and functional activity is a very powerful motivator and learning tool. For some riders with more significant cognitive challenges, it is helpful to keep your instructions and prompts simple, short, and also consistent. Use the same phrases for prompts so that your rider comes to know these. Sometimes it is helpful to give your rider time to prepare to respond by counting 1, 2, 3, as we can see in this next demonstration.
Okay, Kim. Kim. You can walk on. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Walk on. There you go.
There are many skills that your rider can practice in the ring under the direction of the instructor. Some of these include remembering to use riding hands, steering, balancing, riding two-point, and many more. For some of our riders, we need to modify the expectation for the skill, such as pointing in the direction the horse should go, for a beginning step to steering, if the rider cannot initially coordinate the use of the reins into this activity. Here is an example of a sidewalker modeling a voice approximation to her rider for Walk On.
No, Nolan? No. Say walk on. Walk. Wah!
Your instructor will advise you as to what kind of hold to use at various times with your rider. You may start off with a thigh hold and then move to a toe hold or a heel hold, given the type of riding your rider is doing, and also the ability of your rider. Sometimes sidewalkers may be requested to move back to a thigh hold when the rider is trotting, as we can see in this next video. Always check with your instructor or assistant instructor if you are not sure.
Look right here, I'm watching you.
As you get to know your rider and skills improve, it is good to move to less invasive prompts. Hand-over-hand assistance is generally considered the most invasive, but sometimes necessary. In this situation, the sidewalker has moved to an elbow prompt to help remind her rider to point to where she should be steering her horse. Eventually, this rider may respond to only a gesture, such as the sidewalker pointing herself. Always try to work towards fading prompts where possible. You may also need to physically assist your rider to get on or off the horse, as indicated by the instructor. Sometimes it takes more than one person to safely maneuver the rider on and off of the horse. As a sidewalker, you may be requested to provide physical assistance by the instructor in a variety of ways. This could include support beside the rider when walking to or from the horse, while riding on the horse, or transferring in or out of a wheelchair or walker. It is always best to encourage the rider to participate in as much of these tasks as possible to promote independence. Partial participation can help to maximize your rider's participation in all aspects of the activity, as we can see here.
No.
You're going to need the right
Push it
and
way
shift
up.
to the right and not to
Way
the
up.
left.
No. Good. Good job. And then put this in here. Good. Good. And then whole thing. Now. Let's get this one in here. Can you help me? Push. Okay. Hold on.
By encouraging your rider to participate through the beginning, middle, and end of the task, you are maximizing their participation in all aspects of a functional task. This particularly applies to dressing and undressing for the ride, as we will see next. Whether it is putting on or removing riding gear, it is important to remember that sometimes doing less is expecting more from our riders. This can include putting on helmets, gloves, safety belts, and boots. Try not to overhelp. Instead, guide your rider through the steps that are needed to prepare for the horse ride and to put all equipment away. You will be reinforcing important skills that promote independence and self-esteem for your rider. As a sidewalker, you are the cheerleader and coach for your rider. By being observant, you will quickly learn what is most motivating for your rider, whether that be a word of praise, "Great job!" a high five, reminding the rider that a family member is watching them, a desired activity such as walking over the bridge, or in this case, a ribbon at the end of the riding year. You may need to be a motivator detective for your rider. If you have any questions about your rider or insightful observations, do find time to share these with your instructor, either before or after the lesson. Remember, You are part of a team, and everyone's observations help to maximize the learning experience for the rider. The Victoria Therapeutic Riding Association relies heavily on their volunteers to run this therapeutic riding program. If you have any questions as a sidewalker, feel free to contact the VTRA staff. You are an important member of the riding team.